Hello, Red Wave. Welcome to Beware Bulldogs podcast. Today, we get to know the UNLV football team. Joining me to educate us on the team we are facing Saturday, and we're going to get his takes on everything, is Tony Cordasco. Tony, you joined us last year. Thank you for tuning in this year. I know we ran into some difficulty with technology earlier.
No. I ran into technical issues. Let's get that straight.
Well, I'll take the blame for it. Don't worry. But you joined us last year. I had a blast with you last year. I had to have you on again this year. Remind everyone of what exactly you do in Vegas.
Well, I'm a work in progress, but basically I have a Saturday morning show on the Odyssey station here. I do a hockey podcast, Locked On Golden Knights, and I do play-by-play for a lot of basketball coming up in Las Vegas this year, the next few months, and then I'll do color occasionally for UNLV broadcast, and then I've been doing sidelines for the home games, some of the home games for UNLV football. So it's been quite a run, Caleb. I've got to tell you, I thought that this team had a chance to be good, decent, and maybe last couple of games get to the 6-win, plateau. But this is something else. I really have to admit that Barry Odom and his staff have just done a terrific job. And I think it's very surprising. And now we have actually Rebel football fans in Las Vegas. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned it a couple times on this show. We were kind of taken aback when they got rid of Arroyo. We thought he was doing a good job. We did not expect this 6-1. I mean, we're outsiders looking in, but we did not expect this from UNLV this year. So I'm happy for you guys. This is great.
Yeah, it is. It's just super. And now it's like, so Barry Odom, when he was hired here, he said, and I just don't like when coaches come here because we've seen several football and basketball in my 44 years here in this city, and they just come and go. But he didn't say, okay, it's going to take us a while, be patient. That's the worst thing you could say to a fan base that has gone 10 years, right, without going to a bowl game. And so he just said, we're going to win. We're going to do it now. So how does he do it? He goes and gets 55 players out of the transfer portal, players that weren't a part of this team last year. He's building for the future now he's recruiting here at home in Las Vegas. And so they have 6 blue chip prospects that are going to be playing here locally next year. And I think it's all just coming together. It's part of his plan. And it's just interesting to see. And he's a good coach. He's a really good coach at the end of the day and a really nice guy. In the summer, he was a nicer guy, but we know coaches. Coaches
Right.
he's just locked in. Okay. There's nothing wrong with him. He's terrific, but he is so locked into games. And they had 2 weeks off, a bye week, and then another week before they play the University of Nevada, Reno. And the Monday before, on the bye week, he was just intense. And his coaching staff said that he's intense because he was a linebacker and he's got that linebacker mentality. But I'll tell you what, the players, the program, they're feeding off of him. And so a lot of good things are happening here in Vegas. And we're really happy at the progress. And hey, they're going to go bowling for the first time in 7 games. Who would have thought that? I never would have thought that this could be possible here. But it's great. It's great to see. And the fan base is excited. And the players, for the players that have struggled, that have been a part of the program in the past. So it's awesome. It's just a good thing here and a good vibe in Vegas.
That's great. And you don't want anything other than a good vibe in Vegas, especially when you're in Vegas. Shoot, you guys may even be undefeated a couple years from now when they vacate all of Michigan's wins after all of these things.
Wouldn't that be something? Well, you know what? We were talking, me and one of my friends, remember, this is the first year that they just have one division. And if they had it in the Mountain and Pacific divisions divvied up, this would be a game of even perhaps more importance, because the winner out of the Pacific division would have represented the Pacific in the Mountain West Conference championship game. I mean, think of that, because who knows what else can happen. Wyoming's still on the radar. Air Force, I think, runs away with it. they'll probably have it all sealed up, and you're just hoping, well, outside of the UNLV game, that they go undefeated the rest of the way. But it's real interesting, to see a race. Everyone's engaged, and man, what are the crowds like there? So it's been what, 28 days since the Red Wave's been at home?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think our
Wow.
last game was Nevada, I think. I can't
Yeah.
even remember. It's been way too long.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's crazy. And yeah, what's the crowd going to be like? Are they really pumped up for this game?
Well, and we talked about this with my co-host and I in our preview, is there's a lot more talk about next week's game against Boise. I just got off the phone with one of my buddies. I said, hey, I got a ticket for you. And he said, oh, all right. We're playing Boise, right? I'm going to be there. No. It's homecoming. It's homecoming week. We're playing UNLV. The fan base has almost completely forgot about this game, which is a little bit scary. I hope people show up to this game. I think there will be. We were talking around 35,000. We're hoping for this game. There's no reason there shouldn't be anything less than that with homecoming. Everybody's coming to town for this game. So I've been invited to multiple tailgates of all the alumni. They're doing a bunch of stuff. We have some parties going on. It's going to be a good time. I just hope that the fan base remembers that we have a game against UNLV at home this week, and don't.
And Boise stinks. Boise's not very good. They're not a good football team this year. And UNLV dodged playing Boise, and they dodged playing San Diego State, right? The two perennial powerhouse teams.
Tony, get this. I saw Boise, I looked yesterday, was a 5-point favorite over Wyoming. Does that make sense to you?
No, not at all. Not 1 ounce. For entertainment purposes only.
Right. They're trying to get people to tune into that game, but I don't know. Oh man. All right. Well, I want to get to know the team a little more. I'm going to get to some ads really quick, but I'm going to ask you about team strengths and team weaknesses in a sec. But first, if you guys are into wine, and if you're a Fresno State fan, you're in the Valley, I'm sure you're all into wine. I know we got a lot of beer drinkers, but make sure we're into wine. Check out Givoli Winery. Givoli Winery is locally owned, located on Biola Avenue, just north of Shaw. They're open Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5, and weekdays by appointment only. Local grapes grown in Fresno. The winemakers went to Fresno State. They have an enology degree from Fresno State, and they're big supporters of Fresno State athletics. So make sure you check out Givoli Winery on the weekends, noon to 5, or on weekdays by appointment only. Also, I got to mention ManageX. ManageX is a full-service property management company that services single-family, small multifamily, office, and industrial properties. They have been in business in Fresno since 1978 and are huge supporters of Fresno State athletics. If you need any property management services, check out their website, managex.net. That's managex.net. All right, Tony, let's get to UNLV's strengths. You guys run the ball a lot. Maeva, you could talk to us about the QB situation going on. There's a lot going on at UNLV, but Maeva threw for a bunch of yards against Colorado State. Is the offense as a unit a strength? Break it down for me.
I'm going to start off with, believe it or not, with special teams, because it's just been a market improvement for UNLV, and it's put them in position to win games. And so they have Jose Pisano is the place kicker for UNLV, and he's only missed one field goal attempt. He's 18 for 19, and he had the money kick last week against CSU right at the final gun. And so you can start there, the kickoffs. So let me just go back a half a step here. So Barry Odom went out and got one of his good old chums, and that is James Shebest, who is by far the best special teams coach out there. So twice he was National Special Teams Coach of the Year at Virginia Tech, right? We always equate good special teams with VodTech, and at the University of Memphis. And then he was just hanging around at home, and Odom said, come out, let's have some fun. You can help us out a ton. And I'm telling you, that is perhaps the biggest strength so far for this football team, because, teams aren't getting big returns. Meanwhile, UNLV with Jacob DeJesus is getting big returns himself. He's third in the country, I think, in kickoff returns so far this season. And so they've done that. And then the punting game with Marshall Nichols, and he's gotten more hang time, and they cut down, his steps from 4 to 3.5. And it shows he's just got more power in his kicks. It's just like the little nuances of the game. So I think we have to start there with the strength. And then obviously the rushing game, second in the conference behind only Air Force. I never would have thought that. Never. Because coach will tell you in the offseason, one of his major concerns after spring practices, he was concerned about the offensive line. But they did cross training with all the O linemen. If one guy goes down, they know how to play a different position on the offensive line. And so there's continuity there, and they've really come together. And then Maava replaces Doug Brumfield, who Brumfield still injured. I was on the sideline last week in the CSU game, and he was just warming up, just got some tosses in. I thought he might have been going into the game because Maava, at the end of the day, is still a freshman. He's still a freshman. And he's two-time freshman of the week, back-to-back weeks in the Mountain West. And so he's really done a good job. The only issue you might see is if he gets a little fancy, and he coughed up the ball last week on a fumble. And they just, the coaching staff, Brendan Marion, who's the offensive coordinator, everyone was getting on him. I mean, it was really tough love. They weren't giving him a break. It's like, protect the ball. What have we been practicing? It's not like, okay, shake it off, come back out. No. This can't happen again. But so that's part of it. And then the rushing game, 4 running backs and the go-go offense. The go-go offense, I think we were trying to see, it's got to be maybe 30 to 35%, 40% installed, because we know what else they could do out of formations and everything, because there's a lot of pre-snap eye candy there. But you've got terrific running backs. Of late, Donovan Lester was recruited by Brendan Marion while he was at William & Mary. And then he comes to UNLV because Marion landed here after Bobby Petrino bolted to Texas A&M. And it's just been heaven sent. And last week, Donovan Lester, you had better strap on your helmet, man. It had better be on securely, because he was ramming the Rams last week. He was just, his yards after contact were just ridiculous. I've never seen a guy run harder like that for UNLV. And then you have Jaden Thomas, who's a freshman. You've got Vincent Davis. Davis is a transfer from Pitt, and he's a big energy guy. And then Courtney Reese also comes back from last year. And then the wideout, Ricky White. If you're going to the game, number 11, keep your eyes on him. They'll probably bracket him. He might draw double teams, and I think that's going to be a real big key in the game on Saturday.
Yeah, I was watching tape on UNLV, and you guys have studs all over the field. And then I looked at numbers, and your running backs are almost even keel in carries.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? They're almost even keel, in yardage and carries. And there's no method to the madness. It's based on feel and situation and what have you. But of late, we did see, I asked Donovan Lester last week before the game against CSU. I said, okay, so you rushed for 98 and 99 yards. Do you have a 100-yard rushing day in you? And he just started laughing at me. What an idiot. He's like, yeah. Okay, this guy. But he's a good guy. And we call him Senator Donnie because he's on his second book. He's writing his second book. He's got his own marketing company. And he's got all this apparel stuff that he's starting to put out. So he is just an unbelievable guy. And Coach Brendan Marion always says, this guy's going to hire us, so be nice to him. Someday he's going to be running a huge company, and that's going to be our boss. So it's pretty cool, though. It's fun. It's been fun. And then, they also started to utilize the tight end. So up until a couple of weeks ago, the Reno game was the turning point. And a couple of tight ends, and the tight ends in this offense have been just blocking for the most part. So Shelton Zion and Kaleo Balunge, both of those tight ends, they had 2 receptions apiece in the game up in Reno. And then Balunge also had 2 big catches, one right before the half last week against CSU. The Rebels were out of timeouts, and he had a total of 51 yards receiving, which is unheard of because they haven't utilized the tight end much. But they're starting to come together. They will run 2 tight end sets, and just watch the pre-snap motion. There's so much going on, and I just don't even think they scratched the surface with the offense. I think the best is yet to come, or at least it'll be the most fun here down the stretch for UNLV.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that. A lot of motion, and especially nowadays in college football, the motion, the pre-snap motion, I mean, you just go watch the Dolphins. It's unbelievable, and it gets guys open. That
Right.
I like it. Now, I want to ask you about the difference in the offense with when you have Brumfield in and Maeva in. You know, lack of snaps obviously is one thing, but is there a different identity with Maeva in? Are we still running the same thing? How are we looking offensively?
That's a great question. So Brunfield was pretty much a run first and then pass guy, and that's what's getting him injured every year. And one of the I spoke to a coach that had followed him since he was a freshman in high school, and he said Brumfield always got hurt in high school too. His body's just kind of frail, and he doesn't fall like particularly well, if there is such a thing where you can fall well. But he had this injury, which was from his rib cage just down to like his hip bone. But then I think he might have gotten hit in the head, and I don't know if we're going to see him again. I'm going to be honest with you because Mayava has just really stood up. I mean, outside, he doesn't make very many bonehead plays. When he does, he comes to the sidelines. They talk it out. He gets back out there. He's got this poise and an uncanny ability to lead this team, as we saw, especially last week against CSU. And so I think that it's going to be his job to lose right now. We'll have to see how it goes down the stretch, but you surely want both of those quarterbacks to be healthy. And Brunfield can bring a lot to this offense if he throws the ball downfield. For some reason, he wasn't throwing the ball downfield. And Brendan Marion's like, throw the ball, throw it deep, throw it. Even in practices, he like couldn't get him to throw the ball downfield. So I don't know what that was all about. And hopefully Doug comes back, and I like him. He's a really nice guy. And I hope that they both get an opportunity to play here, contribute down the stretch.
I was really excited for. Well, I wasn't. I shouldn't say excited, but when we looked at the schedule, one of the things that stood out to me was, quarterback play at UNLV. We need to watch out for UNLV. For some reason, we always have struggled the past couple of years with the UNLV in Fresno. So, and shoot, even last year, it wasn't the easiest game. So, UNLV is always a little trap game for us. But switching it up a little bit, going from strengths to weaknesses, where would you say this UNLV team weakness is?
I mean, it's really, I'm going to be honest with you, it's hard to say. At times, the secondary has not played their best, although last week they really stood up. They played so well when they needed to against Colorado State, getting a big 3-and-out late in the game. And there was also a big turnover. UNLV, by the way, is 4th in the nation in turnover numbers. And so they're plus, well, I forget what they were, but they're number 4 in the nation. And last week was 1-1 on the turnovers. Mayava had the turnover. And then off of a double pass, I thought it was pretty cool. So Jackson Turner, who is he's a recruit, a transfer from the University of Arizona. And they saw something like a play or 2 previous plays. You know the way offensive coordinators try to test something and then they develop it. Well, he could see some movement there, some motion, a receiver going to the boundary. And he talked to his coaches and he said, hey, I think a trick play is coming. And that's what they were conveying. Stay at home. And then there's a double pass. And he's right there in the perfect position to make the INT. So it's like everything's going really well for this team. They have a ton of talent. There was something like 22 DBs at the start of the season that they could use. They're 3 deep, but no, they haven't had this depth before either. And so defensive line has come together, linebacking core with another transfer. I keep saying that all day. Another transfer out of the University of Arkansas, Jackson Woodard, and he's a gamer. This guy is a gamer, if ever there was one. Good dude, and he's a football guy. And so he's really been the captain of the Rebel defense. And they had an identity like last week. I started to see a personality that mirrors the head coach and Barry Odom. And I started to see an identity from UNLV where they're just going to play more aggressive as we get into the latter stages of this season. And I just think it's all coming together. And it's just going to be such an interesting game on Saturday because CSU, that game was a chess match back and forth. And the Rebels came in averaging 40 points or more, other than the Michigan game. And at halftime, they were down 13-3. So I'm like, typical questions, right? Coach Odom coming off the field. Coach, what adjustments at halftime will you make with your team? We saw Colorado State gashing UNLV on the ground, and they're not a running team. And so they had to make some adjustments there. Every time UNLV loaded up the box, we saw CSU throwing the ball. And then when they backed off, they'd run. So they just tweaked some things. But he was so confident, goes, don't worry, we got some things. You scored a field goal in the first half. You're trailing 13-3. And this was a potent offense that was averaging 40 points a game. And they've had, 3 rushing games of 300 yards or more? I mean, this is not the offense that we are accustomed to here, but I think the fans really enjoy it because it's wide open. I think that they really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Tony, you are exuding confidence, and it's not making me feel that great.
I just, you know what? Hey, Caleb, last year, I mean, we could sense we're going to have a football game. And it might be competitive on Saturday. I think it will be. Everything's pointing towards a really good football game between 2 really good teams and 2 outstanding coaches. I mean, what else do we want here? I think they're right there knocking on the door, which is just incredible, right?
I 100% agree. I can't wait. We lost. We played Wyoming. We lost to Wyoming. We've made adjustments. We have some injuries we're recovering, but this game, we're coming off a bye week. Everyone that follows Fresno State football is fired up for this game. We know what we're getting ourselves into, and UNLV is the same way. This is going to be a fun game. I'm just happy we get it at home.
Yeah, no, it's going to be terrific. I'm just like, as a football fan, I'm really excited to see this game. And and then for UNLV, I'm really excited to see how they react, right? Because let's face it, they've had, I think 3 pretty intense mentally games in a row. So they played Hawaii for the Golden Pineapple or whatever they call that. I don't know, hula, whatever it is. It's pineapples, like in a trophy. Kind of silly, crazy. I wanted coconuts. I was lobbying for coconuts. And so they won that trophy. They retained the Fremont Cannon against Reno. And then they come back, and it's an emotionally charged game against CSU. And it's homecoming day. And they responded late, and they just showed a lot of determination and grittiness, if you will. And that Jose Pisano is, what's he listed? 5. He's not 5'9". He's got to be 5'6". Everything is just, it's insane. The power in this guy's legs, and his kicking leg is insane, and nothing affects him. Unbelievable. Bobby Petrino brought him here from Southwest Missouri State. And then Petrino bolted, but he stayed. Thank goodness.
I saw him kick a couple. He's not your typical kicker build. Put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's all like legs. I mean, it's just like that ball. So I was just watching him. I was right there on the sideline, and I knew that they would have hopefully had an opportunity to win the game late. And I was just watching him, and just cool as a cucumber. And then he just, when you see him kicking into the net, that ball off of his foot, he's so accurate, but that ball just explodes. He leads the nation now, 18 of 19 field goals. Who would have ever known that we would have a place kicker leading the nation in field goals? And then there's just a lot of accolades coming the way of a lot of these players. And I think Barry Odom, pardon me, a little cold here, but I think that Barry Odom is a serious contender, not for just Mountain West Coach of the Year, but if this continues, trajectory continues to go up, he could be the National Coach of the Year in college football. I mean, think about that. They haven't gone to a bowl game in 10 years. I mean, I've been starving. It was 2000, 2013, and now 2023. So it's about time, guys. It's about time.
I don't even remember what was going on in 2013. It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Trust me, it's longer if you're following a football team that's not winning. They came close last year. They came close. And the other thing too, Caleb, it's about time that UNLV, okay, so Fresno trying to put more pressure on the Rebels by making this homecoming day. We had homecoming days when I was broadcasting games for the Rebels every week. I'm like, it's a stinking homecoming game again? No, that can't. You got to be every time we went on the road, it was their homecoming game. I'm serious. It's like I'm not I'm not being facetious at all. So the program's really turned the corner. Very happy for the coach. Very happy for the players and for the alums. I just think it's been a long and difficult road, and I just think that it's going to be again down to the wire here. I think it'll be a close game, and I just want to see good football. We finally have football fans. We have football fans now in the Valley. So this is great to see. And people are starting to come out to games and stuff. And we're no longer everyone's homecoming opponent.
Right. Yeah, because you know what that means if you're a homecoming opponent. You know what they think of you.
Yeah, you're supposed to go in there like the Washington Generals and the Harlem Globetrotters, and you're supposed to go in there and lose. And just like supposed to just lay down, right? That's the way it used to be. We got a W on homecoming day. Like, okay, great. Yeah, it was really tough. That was a tough, lean few years for UNLV.
Well, you guys are looking up, and I'm going to get to the outcome of this game. We want to talk about it, a couple things about it. But first, I got to get to Flora Flower Co. My anniversary is coming up, so I'm relying on some flowers.
Congrats.
Thank you. I always get the wife flowers. And if you're looking for flowers,
quick question: is she a former homecoming queen?
You know, I don't know. I didn't go to high school with her. But in my heart, yes, she is, and she deserves the flowers.
She's your homecoming queen.
Yes.
Get him. Pile on the flowers, bro.
Well, if you need flowers and you're in Fresno, check out Flora Flower Co. They're a local flower shop that's modern, unique. They also have gifts. If you're looking for gifts, you one-stop shop for gifts, flowers, gifts. The flowers are from local growers. Their store hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., located on Shepherd and Willow. There is a professional florist waiting for you in the shop. So if you're like me, no creativity, go in there. They'll help you out. They're, once again, Shepherd and Willow, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and you can use the code Fresno15. That's Fresno, the number 15 at checkout, whether online or in the store, and they're going to give you 15% off your purchase. So let them know that we sent you by using Fresno, the number 15, for 15% off your purchase. Also, if you're looking to strengthen your support group or strengthen our community or your community and you need support and you'd like to attend a church, the Vine Church in Fresno on Shaw, just west of Grantland, has service on Sundays at 10 a.m. They also have prayer nights on Thursday. If you aren't into the whole church thing, but you want prayer, they're there Thursday nights. Come on out. I attend there, so let me know if you're going. I'll meet you there. The community there's kind and welcoming. They speak biblical truth. Sundays, 10 a.m. That's the Vine Church on in Fresno on Shaw, just west of Grantland. All right, Tony. I want to know what your thoughts would be on Sunday. Let's say if Fresno State ends up winning this game on Saturday, how did they win this game?
Well, I'm just always concerned about the offense and that attack, and then defensively coming up with big plays. UNLV's had a difficult time containing explosive plays this season. Outside of so much in the Colorado State game, there weren't very many in that game, but I think that that's something that they really need to guard against. Malik Sherrod concerns me because he's like one of the Rivers guys. Like, is his last name really Rivers? Did he change his name? Because that's a guy that just runs low to the ground, and you just hits a factory with those 5'8" guys. Like, it's ridiculous. So that concerns me. And then who's going to start at QB? Who's starting at QB for the Bulldogs?
They won't tell us.
Who would you guess? And which one would be more of a threat against UNLV? Just curious.
Okay, so my opinion is that Logan Fife opens up the playbook a little more, and I don't think you can fully recover from an ankle sprain in 3 weeks. That would be Mikey Keene's deal. I don't think he's 100% right now. So I would assume, and you know what happens when you assume, but I would assume Logan Fife is the starter and gives us the best chance of performing at our highest level. So, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's going to come down to converting on third downs, like all those intangible things as well. It's going to come down to the Rebel defense again stopping, and they were last week, Ben, but don't break sort of in that game, and so they're going to try to just keep Fresno State off balance defensively. Last week against CSU, they played nickel and dime packages. They played some man. They moved around a lot of players. One thing that's really impressive too is the fact that Ricky Logo, who's the defensive line coach, he has really done a good job in monitoring the defensive linemen. They play 3-down linemen, but they will come off the edges and everything else. A lot of stuff goes on defensively as well. But just keeping these players where they're fresh when they come in. They count the snaps that they're in the game for. They see what the situation is, and they're really alert. And I asked Coach last week. I just asked him, like, how do they gauge who gets the playing time? And he was like, well, it just depends on the situation and what have you, and more or less a feel. Hey, we don't even use thinking analytics. We're not using analytics. I mean, this is great. So no, but you have Jalen Dixon, one defensive end, 2 defensive tackles. Tat Martinson. Tat Martinson's an interesting guy. He's a senior, but he's been in this program just mired in the background. And he finally said, "You know what? I've had enough. I want to play." And so he's the strongest player on the team. He's always been, but that didn't translate to the playing field. So now he's learning technique and all those things, and he's doing well. Darius Johnson is another guy that he's a beast. That's a guy that I don't want. I don't want to play against him. He's one of those guys you want on your team, but you don't want to play against him. So they're pretty good, and they're pretty deep at D line, and they're starting to more or less again that whole entire defensive unit really has developed an identity, and so that is interesting. And they do a lot of stunning, and you better be careful because they'll come off the edge. They'll do blitzes everywhere, twists up front, and then they're doing all this without. Remember last year, Jere Williams was the biggest player on the team, best player, I should say, and this year, so he was a nickel corner, right, when he arrived at UNLV. And I went out the first day of practice. I'm like, who is this guy that's breaking up like every pass? I need to meet him. And so I started talking to him, and this guy's just terrific, but he's out. He's been out for UNLV. He had surgery on his right ankle, and they're hoping for the bowl game that he could come back. But it's been fun, man. And doesn't the season go by a lot quicker when you're winning? We haven't seen this.
Yeah.
It's usually like, why is this stinking season dragging on? It just keeps dragging on. It feels like, you're going into February at times when you're losing. But now it's like, this is great. Every week there's a good game. There's something to watch on TV. And they're very competitive and fun. They're very fun. They'll have something schematically to, it's going to be the 2 coaches are great at making adjustments. And I just want to watch them coach. I don't care about anything else. I just like watching the coaches. I think that's going to be the fun and the biggest matchup, I think, of the game. It's going to be a blast.
I'm in, Tony. I can't wait. We've talked about coaching matchups. So we faced Bowl at Wyoming, and we made halftime adjustments. We executed them. It was a chess match, and I love that chess. I can't wait for it this Saturday. I'm going to switch up that first question on you. What?
Okay.
So let's just say Sunday, UNLV's the winner. What did UNLV do to win that game?
They rushed for 300 yards on the ground. They played a very physical game. They came up with, they won the turnover battle because that's how they're winning games. And their special teams puts them in a position to win the game. And that has not always been the case. I mean, just all 3 phases of the game, complementary football, and that's why they're winning. When you look back at this season and what's transpired so far, they're playing complementary football. And so they're all playing for each other. And I think that's why this team is starting to gel. And it's crazy. So Coach Odom says One of his things that he was driving home this past week was, okay, like reporters are saying, "Hey, coach, how does it feel to be, bowl eligible?" And he's just looking, going, "You know what? This is the standard. This is the standard. We want to compete. We want to win games. We want to have a winning record. We want to go to a bowl game. We want to be ranked, and we want to play for a championship." And so hopefully that's what happens here in the next few years, because it's been enjoyable. It's fun football. It's really fun. And the biggest question, I think, in the offseason is going to be, can they keep all of these coaches on the staff? Because every day I'm reading something on social media about how good these coaches are. I don't think Odom leaves this program until it's really built up to where he wants it to be. If he does leave, because he loves it here. But there's a lot of chatter at Arkansas now about they're wanting. If you go on their message boards, yeah, they want Barry Odom to come back there because he was a defensive coordinator last year. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, and I don't think he'll leave. But UNLV is going to have to back up the Brinks truck, keep him here. He's a heck of a football coach, and he's really embraced the traditions at UNLV and the community at large. I think he's done a really good job in embracing. He showed up at practice one day and at the post game presser, and he showed up in a Tark t-shirt. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, he's embracing the past here. And they wore football helmets from 1986, one game from the Wayne Nunnally era there. I mean, they didn't go way back too far, like when Pat Hill was here in 1981 and 82, or 80 and 81. Congratulations to Pat Hill, by the way. Former offensive coordinator at UNLV, and then 15 years as a head coach there in Fresno, and his name is going into the Ring of Honor. That's really cool. He's great. A great football coach, too. Great football mind. That's Saturday. Thanks for doing that. And thanks for not, and you know what? While I'm at it, thanks for not parading Aaron Judge out there to get the fans more riled up. Luckily, that's coming up later on. Okay? We can't have any more of these gimmicks. Okay? Homecoming game. What else?
Yeah, Pat Hill's being honored. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's a great night for Fresno Red Wave fans. And I just remember, I think I told you last year with Fresno State, like back in the day at Sam Boyd Stadium, a ton of fans would travel from Fresno. Are the fans now, are they into the football team, the football program now, to where if they go to a bowl game, they're going to travel en masse again? Is the Red Wave back?
The Red Wave, I am happy to say the Red Wave is officially back. Last year,
that's great.
It was packed. We outnumbered Washington State fans by a lot. This LA Bowl, I've a part of a couple group chats, and I mean, I see people everywhere traveling. We actually went to Arizona State, and I got to go, and a bunch of Red Wavers over there. So, I mean, the Red Wave is officially back. Tedford has revived it. People are very excited for this football team, and the way they're playing, I don't blame them.
It's electric there. Yeah, it's electric there. The checkerboard end zone and everything there. I like the tradition. I like the look and the feel around there, and the fans just they're good fans too. It's not like going to Reno or anything. They're really good fans in Fresno. They're very good fans. It's hostile up in Reno. It's going to be hostile in a different way because I just think the Fresno State fans are good fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I 100% agree, and I'm glad to call myself a Red Waver. I'm excited. I got a couple more questions for you, Tony, but I got two more ads for you guys. The holiday season is coming up, and there is a really cool wood shop called Eastie's Wood Shop that you guys need to check out. For custom woodworking and home decor needs, let Eastie's Wood Shop bring all of them to life. Check out shopew.store to send them a message and to see their line of personalized gifts for this holiday season. Use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. That's shopew.store, code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. Also, we've been talking about it. It's homecoming week. And if you're looking for things to do the week of homecoming, The Fresno State Alumni Association has you covered. Wednesday, which was today. So hopefully you got to see it. The unveiling of the Victory Bulldog statue was today. We're recording Wednesday, but you're listening on Thursday. So now it's today. So tonight, Thursday night, is the Homecoming Alumni Mixer at the Smith Camp Alumni House. Friday night is the Homecoming Takeover at Crow and Wolf Brewery and Beware Bulldogs. That's us. We will be there recording live. I'm going to have an extra mic. So if you got something to say, come say hi. We're going to be at the Homecoming Takeover at Crow and Wolf. That's from 4 to 9. And then Saturday, the 28th, join the alumni tailgate at the Neutral Zone in the White Lot for a fun tailgate. There's something for everyone the week of homecoming. To learn more or to purchase a homecoming game day bundle, visit alumni.fresnostate.edu/homecoming. One more time. alumni.fresnostate.edu/homecoming. All right. Thank you to everyone for your support for Fresno State Athletics and Beware of Bulldogs podcast. All right, Tony, can you give me a prediction, a score prediction?
You might not like this one, but I'm going to say that UNLV wins a squeaker at the end. I mean, they just have found ways to win games when you think that they're out of the game. And I mean, starting with the Vanderbilt game, and they come back and they win that late. And then last week against CSU, and they come back and they kick the 25-yard field goal. And I just think that this is a team, and who knows? I mean, sooner or later, maybe, it just the dam breaks. It could happen. I mean, it's a team that has only been together now for a few months since they came in for fall camp after spring, most of the players. So some players left, and then, like I said, 54, 55 players came in to replace a lot of those bodies. But I'm going to say 34-31 Rebels on a late field goal, late field goal, and they spoil homecoming day there for once, because we just were everyone's homecoming victim. We were victims.
I'm sorry about it, Tony, but thank you for being our victim. Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a homer. I just have seen this team. I don't know how they were winning games. Sometimes I'm amazed. I really am, because they're coming up with the big plays when they need it. There's a new hero each and every week. And then the coaching and the adjustments, and the coaching staff is so good. I mean, and it's going to be, like I said, I think it comes down to the wire, and I think that it's going to be just one of those fun games for the fans. And too bad it's on at 10:30 Eastern time. How are people going to see these teams from the Mountain West? These are two really good and fun programs. I just said UNLV's good. I said they're good. And they're not just competitive. They're not just going to get off the bus, but they're going to compete. And it's good to see. It's so encouraging. And coach has just he puts more pressure on himself. Like before the Reno game, he was like, I have to win this game. It's a big game for the players, as they told me. It's a big game for the alumni, big game for the community of Las Vegas, for their parents, the kids' parents. Like he just went on and on. But he does understand the significance. And I'm just so glad and thankful that we don't have to wait another year to see this program go bowling. That's the most important thing. Now, if they could somehow turn the corner, compete for a title, well, that would be some miracle story here in Vegas. But I like where it's headed. I do. I definitely like where this program's going. And I just think that they've got the right man for the job. And I said that at the start of the season before they even played a game. I just thought that he had pretty good control. He's a good coach. He doesn't get overly excited. He's over there just on the sidelines. He was a linebacker, and so he's got the beady eyes. He's ready to tackle someone on the sidelines, and I think the players have responded to him in a big way.
Yeah, no, things are looking up in UNLV, and so congratulations. Enjoy it. I am going to say I did not pick UNLV to win this game. I picked a close game like you.
You know what? And I could see that. No, I could see that. I could definitely see that, because no, I mean, on paper, Fresno State is at home and they're the better team, and they have that bowl experience and that championship level, if you will. So I can understand all that. I just think it's going to be a really entertaining game down to the wire. But what's your prediction, Caleb?
Okay, to be honest, I was going back and forth in our preview. I don't remember. I think I had a touchdown, maybe It was a close game within double digits. I think I'm gonna have to go back and listen because I threw it out there right at the end because I was going back and forth the whole time. So a close game that Fresno State wins.
Yeah,
So
they have to stop
it
the
should be
run, UNLV, and pressure your QB, whoever it might be.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Now, the last question I have for you has nothing to do with college football and has to do with the Vegas Knights.
Okay.
We have some listeners that are Vegas Knights fans, Golden Knights. And got it. You and your teams. You got the Rebels on football, then the Running Rebels during basketball. Now, is it Knights, Golden Knights, Vegas? I don't know, but
Golden
they're
Knights, VGK,
Golden
the
Knights.
Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, they. I got some listeners that are fans, and they want to know. NHL season started. What are your expectations for the Golden Knights?
Well, it looks like they're going to probably, for starters, repeat as the divisional winners and then maybe win the Western Conference and then take it from there. We're currently, as we're recording this, 7-0 on the season. That's a record for Stanley Cup champions coming off of a Stanley Cup season. And 7-0 is a great start. And they passed like the 85-86 Edmonton Oilers along the way. So they're just on fire. It's a little bit of a weak schedule, I can say, because I'm an honest guy. It's a weak schedule early on. Hopefully we get better games here as the season progresses, but I can't see why. And they're building some good depth, and their farm system now here in Henderson is starting to play pretty much the same structure that Bruce Cassidy has for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think that that's going to be very helpful. And there's just so many superstars on this team. Every night, someone steps up and makes the big play, scores the big goal. And then don't forget to mention the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA. I just went to their second annual, it's their second annual victory celebration for winning the WNBA title. So it's the annual event. We're calling it the annual celebration because I think they might have 2 or 3 more in them. I don't know who's going to stop them, but it's fun.
Well, Vegas is having a good time in the sports world, and I hope it continues for
Other
you
than
guys.
The Raiders.
Well, the Raiders are terrible. They made a huge mistake hiring McDaniels, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And up there, you have a lot of Raider fans, I'm sure.
Yes. And what they did to Derek Carr and Hunter Renfrow, what they're doing now, and I know Devontae Adams isn't happy. A lot of Raider fans not happy down here. But I hope it goes well for UNLV and the Vegas Knights in Vegas and not Fresno this Saturday. But the rest of the time, I hope it goes great for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure again catching up with you. This is our second annual conversation here on Beware Bulldogs.
Well, once again,
do you want me to, I always, so when I do reads on our Locked On Golden Knights podcast, I always have to take a little shot or say I just ad lib, and I shouldn't. I should just stick to the script.
Well, I'm still learning how to do it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but
you're ahead of me in that regard. Yeah, you're way ahead.
I'm just thankful I have some reads. So
that's great. No, congrats. It's really good. And I'm glad that the podcast is doing well.
No, thank you. Now, where can everybody find you if they're interested in listening to the Golden Knights stuff or UNLV? You're doing a lot of stuff. So where can they follow you?
I mean, pretty much my local X, formerly known as Twitter. You could find me at Tony Dasco and then at Locked On VGK and then everywhere else. I don't know. Yeah. The Bet Las Vegas is also another Twitter handle. There's like 15. Do you want some of my other handles that I'm tweeting out at Josh McDaniels from or no?
Oh, I would love to. Personally, I would like to know. Yes.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't have any other ones. That's enough. That's a full-time job tweeting out every 2 minutes. But.
Right. Well, Tony, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we can run into you soon. And if not, we'll see you next year. And good luck to the Rebels. And, we got basketball season coming up soon too. So I'm sure you're excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Thanks so much, Caleb. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you Saturday at former Bulldog Stadium. Go Dogs.